Ladies and gentlemen, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Madam Clerk, agenda-wise, public comment, is that in order?
Yes, sir.
Anyone in the room wish to speak at this time? If so, raise your hand and come to the podium and speak into the microphone. You have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Elaine Jordan. I live at 124 Sand Dollar, work at 131 Ocean Boulevard West, one of the businesses on this island that support this town's economy. And we would like to continue supporting this town's economy. And the ripple effects of what you all are going to do today will be, you have to consider them. And that's all I'm asking. Safety, health, all that is incredibly important. But as even your town attorney told you this morning or early afternoon, we're not going to stop the virus getting here. It's not going to happen. All you can do is minimize it. She also indicated you can't shut down the beach unless you're going to shut it for all purposes, including dog walking, etc. And as indicated, I saw one of the things here that Ms. Commissioner Pat had talked about even shutting down real estate showings for real estate sales. I'm flabbergasted that would even be considered. Short-term rentals are part of our business. Everyone who moved onto this island knew that short-term rentals were part of this business, this island. You moved here knowing, everyone moved here knowing short-term rentals are what we do. And to keep that business, shut it down now, it's not going to be for a 2-week time frame. As Governor Cuomo said, this is the new reality. So what you're shutting down is you're leaving yourself really very few options down the road. I would suggest incremental approaches. The governor of North Carolina today issued an order that shut down a lot of businesses that have immediate contact. You can't have social distancing. That in and of itself is going to be a huge impact to businesses, even in this area. But he's done that. We can shut down public parking, we can shut down some of those things, but to shut down short-term rentals, which is the livelihood of many people, which many people rely upon to pay their mortgages, which many people rely upon for their livelihood of cleaning, landscaping, you're going to have huge effects. And I'm just asking you to act, give us time to see how things work. You're not in the height of the season. You can make decisions later. Right now, you can do things in an incremental way that I think will be reasonable. That's all I'm asking. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak at this time? Yes, ma'am. Come to the podium, please.
I live at 1032 Ocean Boulevard West. Long history here, been through a lot down here. I've never been through anything like this, and hopefully, God, we never have to go through it again. I own a small business on this island. I have girls that's husbands have already lost their jobs in whatever profession they were in. I have girls that work 2 jobs to maintain a family, and they've lost their waitressing jobs. They may eventually get some money back from the government in form of unemployment. It won't be the tip money they're used to that supports their family and feeds their children. So I ask you also to take this in an incremental basis. If we are concerned, and I am as well, about some of the older folks, I'm by no means young, but I am blessed, I am healthy. There are many others of us on this island that are not. So I ask you, step up to that plate, go get their groceries for them, drop them on their porch, walk away. If they need toilet paper, go get it for them if you can find it. You may have to make 9 trips to the grocery store. I had to go 4 trips to jar of peanut butter. But that's okay. I didn't buy the other 10 that were sitting there. I only bought one. So I would ask you to please, before you destroy the economy of our island and our ability for the town to pay its bills, that you think long and hard before you shut this place down.
Thank you. Anyone else? Just a word of caution, this is the time to comment. Once the discussion goes back to the commissioners, staff, and attorney, you may not have an opportunity to speak again. So if you have anything you want to offer for consideration, please do it now. Seeing no one's hand go up, Mr. Hewitt, Town Manager, would you like to make any comments or statements?
Yes, sir. I misspoke this morning when I alluded to a press conference or a conference between the governor and municipal local government officials today at 2:30. That is tomorrow at 2:30. Other information that we've gotten, of course, is that schools now are going to be closed through the 15th of May.
Okay, Madam Clerk, have you gotten anything that changes anything that we've said or done to this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, any staff persons got anything that you discovered that was said this morning that was incorrect or something needs to be added to any discussion earlier this morning?
I will comment that we've been discussing how services would be fine-tuned and delivered digitally or remotely, as whatever they are, as may be the case. So the staff's been working that in the background on how to continue providing services.
Okay, my thinking is what we're going to do is ask the commissioners for any comments, and then we'll go to our attorney for suggestions and comments and findings, and then we'll come back to commissioners for final say, and then I'll be making notes accordingly, and we'll decide, or decisions will be made what will take place. So that's the plan right now. Commissioners, have you got any comments or anything you'd like to put forward?
Well,
This is Pat. You have what I wrote this morning.
yeah,
That goes down through point 7, which is, after a lot of reflection and study over the last couple of days, is what I propose. A lot of it is very similar, I believe, to what Ocean Isle put out in their proclamation today. But my items 1 through 7 in that message are basically my thinking of what we should do.
Okay, other commissioners?
I would just say that we had a lot of discussion this morning. We didn't get into specifics, but we had a lot of discussion. And again, based on your experience and your position for a long time as being the emergency management director, maybe we could cut to the chase if you gave us your feelings, and then we could comment.
What's the pleasure?
I think that would be appropriate to be able to hear your thoughts.
All right. Madam Attorney, would you like to speak to any findings or thoughts that you may have?
I can give all my comments after, if you want to go first. It may narrow down what I need to address if we know specifically what your intentions are.
I don't have a problem with that. Been a lot of comments, phone calls, emails, and so forth, before today, during the day, and after the meeting earlier this morning. And it continued to be suggested to me by citizens, commissioners, staff, and so forth, that pretty much our thoughts are in line with Ocean Isle Beach. We have so much in common, and we echo our needs as a general rule. I have in my hand kind of a summary of what the Ocean Isle document is in regards to this reaction to the emergency status that we now find ourselves. And I'm going to just this won't be verbatim, but just hitting the high spots. We will, this is what I'm thinking that will take place if I had to do something right this minute. This is not final, this is for discussion. We would restrict the access to municipal buildings, to the essential staff and town officials. All interaction with the staff would be limited to phone, email, or text. This one is particularly difficult for me because it directly impacts me. But the citizens have made it clear, staff is always wanting to support what is in the best service of those property owners and citizens, and the commissioners have spoken. So the probability is that the discontinuance of short-term rentals described in SL 197-364 HB 859, an act to authorize Brunswick County to levy a room occupancy and tourism development tax, to authorize certain municipalities in Brunswick County to levy or increase local occupancy taxes, and to authorize person county to levy a room occupancy and tourism development tax. All rental agencies and property owners that rent properties within the town of Holden Beach are instructed to have all current renters who rent for a period of less than 3 months duration and their invitees vacate the premises and leave the town of Holden Beach no later than 2 p.m. on March 25th, 2020. Effective immediately, there shall be no rental occupancies of any nature or duration within the town of Holden Beach until April the 4th, which is a Saturday. Ocean Isle is Monday following what I'm proposing, the 4th. And the reason being is because people have already booked the week before Easter, and the major portion of the check-ins is on that Saturday. All public parking and parking within the town right-of-ways is prohibited with an exception of town employees, government officials, and contractors. All one-way streets that provide public parking will be closed. All previously approved group activity applicants, such as the pavilion under the bridge, are hereby revoked. Applicant should contact the town regarding rescheduling the events. The town of Holden Beach public restroom facilities and any other town buildings will be closed until further notice. Restrict public gathering to groups of no more than 10 persons at all public areas. Property owners and renters are encouraged to stay close to home and follow social distancing protocol. The town encourages all individuals and business owners to adhere to CDC, federal and state guidelines regarding COVID-19, and the town reserves the right to impose further restrictions deemed necessary as the pandemic progresses. And the town of Holden Beach is not attempting to limit travel on the Holden Beach Bridge at this time. That's the summary of where I think I am at this point with your guidance and support and input. And now back to commissioners for comment.
Well, I'll comment. I agree with everything you said, and I'll just, as a comment to the two people who spoke here. There are 12 states in the United States now that have a travel restriction telling people to stay at home. At least 3 or 4 of those states are states from which we get a lot of our renters. They're all good people. But if the governors of those states don't want those people to travel within their state, why would we want them to travel here? It's just pure common sense. There's a greater chance that they would contract the virus in their home state, and that's why the governors in those states are asking them to stay at home. And so why would we want somebody who could be asymptomatic, but when they arrive here, transfer the virus to somebody that's already here? It just doesn't make any sense at all to me to do that. The other thing I would say is, for the people that are already here, I would have no problem in letting them finish their day. Instead of having to leave on Friday, they could leave on Saturday morning and complete they've been here for 4 days. You know, I don't know how much harm those people could do, since they've been here that long already. So I would suggest that we let the people who are currently renting finish this week out, and then impose the no rental starting this coming Saturday.
So rather than the 25th, the 26th?
That's just my suggestion.
I concur with that.
Twenty-fifth was Wednesday,
All right.
twenty-sixth is Thursday.
Okay.
So he was
This is
proposing,
this
he
is
was
what-
proposing Wednesday.
Yes.
The 25th.
Right.
And you're saying you want to go till Saturday.
I'm saying that
So what
I
date,
really don't see the
Saturday?
utility in making people who have come here, they've already been here for 4
Okay.
days. You know, by the time Wednesday comes around, they'll have been here for 4 days already.
It's Saturday, the 28th?
28th.
Okay, so what I said earlier, the 25th, in your notes, you need to change to the 28th. That would be the day that the renters that are here now would be leaving the island. Okay, thank you for that. Any more comments at this time from the commissioners?
I think this is a reasonable first step. I do want to make sure that it's understood that we will revisit this. And maybe we need to set a date to revisit.
We're gonna be revisiting it every hour of every day and
Well, I'm
night.
sure, but I'm talking officially, so go ahead and set
Yeah.
a meeting to revisit. where we are.
Yeah, because we can always change things.
Yes. But I think this is a reasonable first start. I mean, I feel bad for the small businesses and feel bad for the people that are dependent upon the rentals, but as one of the commissioners said to me the other night, if we save one life.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for help in here and understanding your thoughts. Mr. Murdoch? You got any?
I'd like to say, at least for me, and I'm sure everybody in this room thinks the same thing, this is a truly heartbreaking decision to even think about having to make. I do think that, we probably should follow suit with Ocean Isle, at least as a start. I think we need to revisit it as necessary and as soon, maybe every day, I mean, whatever we gotta do. I hope the fear of this virus doesn't remove the peace on this island that it gives each and every one of us in our daily lives to be here. It's been a very important part of my life and will continue to be. I urge you all to take care of your neighbors of concern and help them as you see fit and as you can. And be really vigilant in taking care of yourselves and the people around you. Use discretion on your daily activities and what you surround yourself with, and hopefully this won't be a problem here. But it's very emotional for me to even think about having to make this decision. I like Alan, I'm in the building industry, and it's gonna be devastating at best. And it's gonna affect a lot of people. Our economy here, as everybody knows, is almost dependent, it is dependent on people coming here and enjoying this place. And we gotta snuff this out as quick as we possibly can. But, I think it's a good start, and it's just not a decision that, you know, is easily made, and I just want you guys to know that. I'm sitting up here almost choked up now. I mean, it's awful. It's nothing anybody's ever seen or dealt with, so we don't have a plan for it. It's gonna have to be day by day.
Mr. Brown, you got anything you want to say?
It's just what I said this morning. Be proactive now while we've got the chance, okay? There's not, and, you know, we can revisit it every day if that's what it takes, okay? But I think we're going about the right way, and let's go ahead and, you know, let's get started, okay? And, because, you know, it's, like I said earlier, it's unprecedented. We're dealing with something never dealt with before. And if anything, stay on the side of caution, okay? And, I don't like to have to see anybody like lose a job for a week or two, but if we're proactive now, and it doesn't take that long, and we get into good shape, then we're way ahead of the ballgame. If we say, well, we're just gonna give it a few more days, and then you get a report of one case, one can be 100 overnight. And that's what's critical for each and every one of us. We're not taking any of this lightly. But I think the time has came to make a choice, and I think we're in unison here. I don't see, you know, you know, then time will tell the story, okay? And that's where I stand.
Mr. Tyner, you got anything you want to add?
No, I thought I spoke earlier, but, I agree with everything Gerald said. I do think we're all in unison up here. We all hate what we're having to do. I sure don't feel good about it, but, you know, I'm concerned about the health of the island. I'm concerned that if we don't take some steps now, that 3 weeks from now, we'll be having to shut the island down for a month because we got an outbreak. And I'd rather shut it down for 2 weeks now and you're gonna be able to open it back up at Easter than watch the whole month of April gone too.
All right, you got anything else, Mr. Sullivan? Ms. Pat, you got anything else?
I just wanted, it's hard to hear sometimes, I just wanted clarification. Alan, you said that everything is gonna start immediately in terms of no parking, all that. And the only thing that's changing is we will let the current short-term renters finish their week, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I understand. No other comments.
Madam Attorney, would you like to bring us up to speed with your thoughts?
Sure, I think that, the steps that you're taking are a good initial step, a good graduated step, to address the, needs of the town, and that they are reasonably necessary to protect the citizens of Holden Beach. And as long as we make sure that the wording of the provisions that you have stated you want are specific enough, so that everyone is very clear about what is and isn't permitted, and it tracks with what your ordinance says, then we should be good with that. And again, you know, we'll put language in there that it can be revisited and addressed at a future time.
All right. Have you got time to work with the clerk, the town manager, and me to make sure we do it correctly?
We've already
Today?
started putting a few
Okay.
things together to
All
try
right.
to get that going.
Without objection, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
May I just ask
No,
a question?
no.
It's not a comment, it's a question.
No,
April 4.
no. Hold on just a minute. Do you
May I
commit?
add one more thing, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I would just encourage that we do send out a blast after all this happens, and encourage our non-resident property owners before they come here to just make sure that nobody in the family is feeling unwell, that there may be, you know, a question as to whether yes or no. For their sake and for our sake, it's just a reminder of the, you know, being safe.
All right, thank you. The reason I stopped is because, as I announced earlier, it's out of order for us to hear you unless the commissioners agree to hear you. Or I ask, or allow it, and then they don't stop me. That's the two options. So,
All right.
is all right, anybody?
I just have a question.
Okay,
I wasn't
Matt,
quite
oh,
sure.
oh,
Good, buddy.
we have to record you.
I wish you should care. I have a question saying that, a rental could restart on April 4th? I'm not sure, I'm just trying to understand the parameters of, could I say somebody, you can rent from April 11th?
It seems to me that we're gonna be visiting this situation daily. And to put a time as far as when we can start back renting, I think is a little jumping the gun. This is only my opinion.
Okay,
I'm hearing everything you say, okay? But this is it. If you go and say, hey, well, April 4th, we're gonna start renting, and then it's gotten worse, what you gonna do?
I'll address that, and anyone, Madam Attorney or staff or commissioners, correct me if I'm wrong. The intent that we have here is that come April the 4th, that we have hopes of being back to normal. Anything after April the 4th is subject to, they might not even be allowed to come across the bridge. So everything beyond April the 4th will be at risk.
Sir?
That's pretty much
Okay,
it.
but we could,
You can
subject to
book,
being at risk, to book it, and if it got closed, then someone would have travel insurance. But we would be able to book beginning as of April the 4th.
okay, check with your travel insurance
Absolutely.
company before you promise these people they're gonna get their money back.
I
Cause it is gonna be at their risk.
Absolutely, okay, thank you.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would just say that if you're gonna put a specific date on it, that you would need to balance, those interests between whether or not you think you're gonna be able to
Right.
really allow them to come back, or if you need to maybe leave it open-ended until rescinded or something of that nature, so that it
Yeah.
wasn't inviting those people to commit money where it
Well,
would not be refunded.
In my simple country boy redneck thinking, I've got people in Ohio, Pennsylvania, with their suitcases packed, ready to run to the car and jump in and come down here. They would like to have some indication of high hopes of when they can do that, because they don't know when to ask to be off. They don't know how to make any plans or anything without some idea of hopes of when that might be. I would
Yeah, but-
also say that unless something happens that I don't know about right now, the decision about April the 4th will not be made at midnight, day of the 23rd. We're not gonna wait till the last minute and tell them. We're gonna give them some lead time, if that makes sense. So again, I'm gonna ask if the commissioners have nothing else, or Mr. Manager, Madam Clerk, if you guys don't have anything else, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn.
The only thing I'd ask is, could we go ahead and set 5 days from now to meet formally again to see where we are? Or are we gonna leave it for you to call that meeting? I'm okay either way.
I would say I hate to do that yet because, as Mr. Hewitt mentioned, we've got the governor deal tomorrow. We thought it was today, but it's tomorrow at 2:30.
Yeah.
And every day, as far as I know, Mr. Hewitt, we're still scheduled for 11 o'clock
Yes, sir.
calls. So daily, we're gonna get all its update.
So we just wait till you call us.
If something significant changes or whatever, we'll get back together if that's all right. Okay, again, I'm gonna ask for possible motion.
I would like to make a comment. I agree with everything you've said, but I would say that I don't care what the governor does, and I don't care what anybody else does. We should set a date certain. It doesn't necessarily have to be in 5 days, but if we're gonna make a decision to change the date, and we're not gonna do it on the day before, on the 3rd, then we should have a meeting sometime during that week, so we can discuss it and decide whether or not we're gonna change it, so we could give people some advance notice, rather than just not
I
having
don't have a
any
problem with
schedule.
that. We can just notify the clerk if that's all right. I mean, I don't have a problem with the meeting that week, because that's
No,
what I
that's
had
what
in
I'm
mind
saying.
anyway.
Okay.
Is
Well,
that all right with you
as
guys?
long as we will schedule a meeting that week, I'm
Okay.
fine
Yeah.
with it.
All right. Madam Clerk, make sure, remind me and, okay. Anything else? Otherwise, is there a motion?
We all need to be available,
Yeah,
so when it, it could be in a couple of days.
could be.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank all of you for being here. Did you have, well, we're adjourned.